I think on the first party side, that means the games that they develop and publish themselves. I think they've been going through a little bit of a transitional phase, right? Because they had a push to try to develop live service games with certainly the failure of Concord last year. Some of that ambition, I think, has been dialed back. But I do think they'll redouble their efforts to produce first-party titles, and this strategy won't change in the years to come. I think the interesting thing is that what they could do with the platform business, the overall console business, and the distribution model that comes on top of it. And I think what we should see or look forward to is probably more alliances and partnerships. Part of it would probably link to an extension of the ecosystem, perhaps by the handheld device I mentioned earlier. And certainly, I think there could be a lot of things they could do, I think, on certainly the network side, especially in the era of AI, because they could, for instance, deploy obviously resources to improve gaming using AI on the cloud. And certainly, I think on the development side, I think AI will be a big boon in terms of productivity and efficiency in producing games.
Yeah, and you mentioned those games, Damian. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6 seems to be a lot of anticipation in the market. I mean, could that have sort of knock-on effects and advantages for the consoles, the hardware itself?
I think games always push the frontier ultimately because it sets up demands by gamers for hardware upgrade cycles. I don't think the PlayStation 5 and the Pro will be replaced anytime soon, but I certainly think that the next year we'll see a significant step up in graphical performance, partly because games using, for instance, the new Unreal engines, I think will basically come into the market and set the bar higher. There's definitely a lot of gamer interest in the upcoming Grand Theft Auto, but it's not the only game, of course, on the third-party side and there's getting interest. I think just this month, for instance, we have Capcom's Monster Hunter World. I think we'll see, a lot more of these games come through in next year to take full advantage of the hardware that's available.
So do you think the reaction to the stock price justifies it in terms of pricing in all the good things that are in store for Sony, Damian, or do you think this is a stretch?
I think it's fair. Sony is looking rather cheap over the last few months, especially in the context of some of its peer groups having strong runs, Nintendo being one example. Insofar, if you actually compare across the gaming space and obviously its recent profit performance, I think there's still some ways to run for the share price, and certainly my target price reflects that.